Hello and welcome all who are watching. My name is Connor alongside Yonas and Luke to present you how to handle an abusive supervisor at the workplace. Now, abusive supervision is a very important issue in organizations today. Uh, Abusive supervision can create negative effects on an individual and an organizational level. These impacts could lead to job dissatisfaction and a worsened workplace environment. First, we will talk about what is abusive supervision and what it may look like, and then we will discuss what causes those effects and how they can be fixed. First, we need to know what abusive supervision can look like. As defined by Ohio State professor Bennett Tepper, abusive supervision is a subordinate's perception of the extent to which supervisors engage a display of verbal and nonverbal behavior. Some of these examples include public criticizing, shouting, threats, and inappropriate physical interaction. Now, a study shows that 10% of bosses cross a certain barrier from being bossy to being abusive. Perhaps you may have encountered an abusive boss before. Maybe you've worked with one, or you were at a customer at a grocery store and saw a boss treat their employees poorly. An abusive boss that comes to mind is Mr. Burns from the TV show The Simpsons. Now, Mr. Burns is described as evil, devious, and greedy. He shows qualities of a very abusive supervisor. He treats his employees badly and causing a toxic work environment. He has even tried to beat and kill one of his employees, Homer Simpson. A non-abusive supervisor may look like Leslie Knope from the TV show Parks and Recreation. Now, Leslie Knope cares about her team. She gives credit where credit is due, enjoys her job. She shows good signs of a good boss, good leadership. She shows good skills. And a really good supervisor can have good effects on employees. Now, with good supervision, it could have good effects on employees and increase work production, and they can feel good about themselves. Well, so can abusive supervision. It could lead to negative effects on employees. Employees who have been abused tend to show less effort in their work. It could lead to job dissatisfaction and less citizenship behavior and a decrease in work production, just making the workplace a toxic environment in the organization. Now, a study in 2007 shows that restaurants in the United States with an abusive boss lost more food from waste and theft. Now, this may have been an outcome from numerous factors, such as discrediting employees, which shows making them show less effort in their job and decrease production. This brings us to Bennett Tepper. Bennett Tepper is a professor from Ohio State who published a book about the consequences of abusive supervision. He developed a 15-item scale that shows different things an abusive supervisor might say or do to an employee. These items can all be accounted for from an employee who was abused. Now, Tepper did a study in 2000 that showed that 48% of employees were accounted for in some way of abusive behavior from a supervisor. Now that we know what abusive supervision can look like, I would like to introduce to Yonas, who will be talking about the causes of abusive behavior from a supervisor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Connor. Hey everyone, my name is Yonas. I am a third year supply chain management major here at the UNCG. So, Many factors could cause abusive behavior at workplace. Here we will see 4 points. The first one is job insecurity. The relationship between abusive supervision and job insecurity can be explained by the social cognitive theory. The basic assumption of the theory is that there is continuous interaction between the external environments, cognitive factors, and human behavior, which varies as those factors change. When this relationship is unbalanced or uncoordinated, the individual feels psychologically pressure. A survey conducted on 271 full-time employees with a different type of occupation indicate that. So the second point is a workload. Workload happens when the supervisor makes poorly planned changes or place unrealistic demands on the subordinates. So some abusive supervisors, to cover their faults, they may show disrespect and devaluation towards their employees, through assigning illegitimate, such as um, unnecessary and unreasonable tasks. Sometimes supervisors may mistreat their employees just to accomplish their objective rather than causing harms. For instance, to motivate high performance. So this leads us to the third point, which is role conflict or ambiguity. Well, a good supervisors should follow constructive leadership style, right? Um, which includes ethical leadership, supportive leadership, and transformational leadership. This style is negatively related to the abusive supervisor, which the abusive supervisor prefer to micromanage. Micromanagement is generally considered to have a negative connotation, mainly because it is shows a lack of freedom in the workplace. A good example will be an authoritarian and an ethical leadership. Finally, the last point is uh, psychological contract violation. Abusive supervision can also be caused by a psychological contract violation. A psychological contract is formed by an employee's beliefs about what they feel they are entitled to in an organization, based on implicit or explicit promises made by the employer. So the study shows that 79% of the people who left an organization reported psychological contract violation. So this is, I mean, a big number. Well, in conclusion, we all have different personalities. So at workplace, it's up to the supervisor or it's supervisor's role to learn about each individual behavior or group's behavior to create a productive team for the company. However, supervisors become abusive when they lack this kind of knowledge. Well, So far, we discussed, uh, basically defined the problem and analyzed some uh, some causes. Now, for the solution part, or for the some suggestion part, how to handle the abusive supervisor, I will let Luke explain that. Uh, Thank you very much for listening.
Recommendations to resolving abusive supervisors. What should you do? That's a great question. When dealing with an abusive supervisor, it's important to try and keep calm, keep positive interactions, and stay productive. When you keep calm, keep positive interactions going, it doesn't look like whatever the supervisor is saying is bothering you. And when they know that something's bothering you, they're going to keep pushing that button. Especially in today's workplace, it's really important to keep an active role in advocating for yourself and your mental health, to let others know if something were to bother you, you wouldn't be afraid to stand out and say something about it. What's an example? There are a lot of hospitals in Turkey that nurses are getting sexually harassed, verbally abused, and physically abused. A study even showed that 339 Turkish hospitals have displayed verbal abuse among nurses. And we're going to look a little bit into what we could have done better. What can you do? Don't stay quiet. Talking to others, employees, the supervisor's superior. You can try talking to the supervisor. You need to talk to someone. Make sure they know what's happening. With that being said, resolving that issue is not always going to happen, but it will at least be brought to the person's attention that needs to hear it. You got to keep fighting back. Studies show with what's happening in Turkey, the best way to help a situation like that is a zero tolerance policy, which is where you don't get another chance to make up for what you've done. If anyone has any questions, please put it down in the comments below. We'll go back and look at it and be able to answer all those questions. Thank you. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys learned something new. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you.